Welcome back to the Blender 3 Docwalk. This document is the status bar. Alright, so let's hop over to Blender and take a look at this. Alright, I've already mentioned the status bar a few times. It is this bottom bar that runs across the entire bottom here. Now, this can be an extremely useful tool. As you can already see, it has little mice icons across the strip here, and this tells you immediately what you can expect your actions to do as far as the mouse goes. Now, if you don't want the status bar, you can get rid of it two ways. You can either drag it like this, just drag it shut, or you can come up top here under the window menu and just deselect it right there, and that'll get rid of it as well. Okay, now in the documentation, as you can see right when it's talking about key map information, it's at the left side of the status bar displays mouse button shortcuts and the key map of the active tool. In editors with the toolbar, pressing Alt shows the hotkeys to change to a desired tool. If you have been playing with this, you will know that pressing Alt does nothing. It just shifts what the mouse is doing. I don't see any hotkey icons or anything like that. So what you have to do to enable this is you have to come up to Edit, go down to Preferences, and you're going to find it here under the Key Map tab. Okay, come over here to Alt-click Tool Prompt, turn that on, close it, and now in a window where you have any sort of tools that you can activate here, there you go. All across the bottom, I've got just about everything in my tool lineup. Alright, moving on to status messages. In the very center of your status bar, this is where you're going to have pop-ups or little messages, specific messages like it says here in the documentation, like a progress bar, as is shown here, and other little messages. If you want to see more details about the message, simply click on it. If you just want to remove it, go ahead and click the X, but it will remove itself after some short span of time. All right, and finally, resource information, as stated here. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Right down here in the status bar, if you right-click in the status bar, you'll get a pop-up with 4 options. The bottom one, Blender version. The next one up is video memory. This is the amount of memory that your video card holds. So it will show over here, VRAM 1 out of 6 gigabytes. That's how much memory I'm currently using on my video card. Next one up is system memory. Okay, now this is how much memory Blender is allocating. Now I feel like this is small. I've got about 64 gigs installed on my system, so I think this must be a setting, something with the setting that is, causing it to show up as 32.9 megs. But either way, this is where your system memory is reported as far as it's kind of an estimate, right? Performed by Blender as to how much memory it thinks it may possibly have to use, how much memory it's going to have to allocate for itself. And last but not least, scene statistics. This is a little bit more interesting. You can see up here in my outliner. Okay, here's my scene collection, here's collection, and then here's cube. So it's kind of giving that sort of a hierarchy. Verts is vertices, how many vertices it has. Obviously, a cube has 8 vertices. If you don't know what a vertice is, it is where, basically the corners. It is where all of your lines meet up to make the shape. Faces, 6. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 faces. Okay, now for tries, if you're new to Blender, this might not be that intuitive. It's not probably what your mind directly goes to. It's not the edges. Now, tries is short for triangles. Okay, so we've got our vertices, faces, and triangles. So what this means by 12 triangles, okay, is that we literally have 12 triangles here. So I'm going to use the grease pencil to kind of show you what I'm talking about here. Here you have, right, you've got one square. Now, a square can be composed of two triangles, correct? And you would kind of draw a line from the top to the bottom there. So you've got one triangle here, two there. So being that there are 6 faces, how many triangles are you going to have? All right, exactly. You're going to have 12 triangles, just like it says down here. So that's what it's talking about. That's what it means. There is... how do I want to say this? It's a much more... It's a much more complicated topic than what you would immediately assume at face value. It's like going from geometry to trigonometry. It's a don't take it at face value. A triangle is not just a triangle. There's a lot more to it. All right, so I believe we've covered everything here. Collections, that is the name of the collection that you see right here, right? The sort of top of the hierarchy. Your active object, whichever it just happens to be. Here in the example, this example, it was the cube. Your geometry, all the information we just barely talked about, right? Vectors, faces, triangles, etc. Vectors, vertices. Objects, the number of selected objects, and the total count. That is if you have multiple objects selected. System memory, we talked about that, and Blender version. Okay, so that is the end of this doc. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one.